Good afternoon. Welcome to Sprockets, fellow track rattlers. And I'm getting looked at like an idiot by everyone around me. I'm in northern Alabama talking to some wonderful people working on an M2. We've just spent several hours bashing pistons, pulling sumps, having a good old time. And this guy's on a winner. We've travelled a long way and it's about 400% humidity and about 30 degrees. I'm struggling a little bit. It seems we've got single digits back at home. We'll go and say good day to Kenny here. What an absolute legend. Say hello to Kenny, my new best friend. We've been playing around on this beautiful thing here. I'll get him to tell us exactly what's going on, where they found it, what the story is behind it, and get everyone up to speed. I'm hoping to share some knowledge and parts. He's got bits that I need and knowledge that I need, and I think I've got a few things that you need.
You do.
Did need an alternator generator bracket, but it turns out he found new old stock. So anyway, we'll have a look here.
This is M2 Cletrac, number 914873. She was assigned to the 100th Bomb Group, 351st Bomb Squadron. She was built January 1943. One of only a handful of Cletracs that were ever brought back to the U.S. from England. She was sold at auction in Texas as surplus to a farmer who obtained 15 to 20 of them. For what purposes, I don't know. I guess agricultural. But a buddy of mine shared me an article and ad on Marketplace, and it was in mid-Mississippi, and she stayed there for 21 years, so we went and got it, and the rest is history. It's been nothing but Cletrac for the last 11 months.
Nothing but M2. I feel your pain. We're pretty well in exactly the same spot, except I've got no rubber and tracks and the track gear's out. You're further along with your bits and components. He's got a lot of bits and parts that as he stripped them off, they're ready to go. They're restored, painted, ready to go. We've just spent several hours. The engine was locked and we worked out that it was number 5. So we managed to get the main cap off and beat it backwards and forwards and give it a bit of a polish up and got it out. Now the engine turns nicely. The pistons will clean up, we reckon. We've got a gentleman that's finding rings, and all this is going to be super valuable for what I need to do. And it's actually on tracks. So until they fly to pieces, you don't have to buy new ones.
Yeah, 12 grand.
Yes, but at least they make them. So this is what Ken's got going on here. It's been an absolute pleasure. We're doing a bit of a road trip, kicking around down the south, doing a few museums. There's a bit more to tell there, and it's about time to go and have a cold one and sign off from this little job and share the love, eh?
That's right.
Been a pleasure. Have you ever come across someone in life where you just know you're going to be friends for a very long time? Right, that's enough of that. Time for some freedom. Now let's try it. Wow. Massive thanks to the boys at Cypress Creek Range in Florence, Alabama. Absolute gentlemen. Now we're off to Huntsville, Alabama to the Air and Space Museum. If you're into rockets and space stuff generally, this place is a must. I'm just going to sit back and let you guys check it out. Massive thanks to Kenny and Peter for their hospitality. True Southern gentlemen. Now we've got a date with a boat. We headed south to Mobile to find the USS Alabama Memorial, a great little museum and an awesome ship. We were told to find Chip. When we found Chip, Chip was amazing. He gave us a hell of a tour. Just listen to his stories.
This is that electric plug. Now, during combat, all watertight doors have to be closed. They can't be opened for the watertight integrity of the ship during combat. Now, if you have a casualty, meaning electrical failure in a compartment, they'll contact damage control. We have electrical casualty so-and-so in a compartment here, there, whatever. Then they would contact the damage control parties and electricians, and they would have to get power to that compartment. Now, they would take these big cables, you'll see a few of them around the ship. We had every room had 2 or 3 of them. Big heavy cables. They would plug the cables in here, 400 volts, and they would take that to the next bulkhead. That door is closed, so you can't go through there, but there's a receptacle there where you would plug your cables in behind here. So you plug those cables in here, and this door is closed. Now over here, you've got 400 volts of power.
So you can pass an
So
emergency
now they
power
pass the
supply.
cables down through this way. And the next compartment with a watertight door has a casualty power connector here that you would jump the power through those closed bulkheads so you can get the power to the room that needs help. Then they would plug their cables in and they would jump the boxes and hook up whatever they needed to repair the power in that compartment there, and that was from casualty power. 6 inches of armor plating. You can see how thick this is. Everything vital to the ship is below the armor deck. The armor deck is about 400 feet long. It runs from frame 36 all the way to frame 129 in the back. 108 feet wide as a ship, 400 feet long. Thousands of tons of steel for this one deck alone. This deck probably weighs as much as a destroyer. The whole ship, just this deck. Each one of those turret mounts, from the turret all the way to the bottom of the equipment, weighs 1,500 tons. That is more than some light destroyers. Combat Information Center. When this ship was built, it was like the other 3 South Dakota class vessels. This compartment was way up in the superstructure on 03. Now, the 4 South Dakotas were, like I say, built all about the same. In November of 1942, South Dakota got in a gunfight with the Japanese battleship off Guadalcanal. The Japanese were very good night fighters. They kicked our fanny on many battles around Guadalcanal and the Solomon Islands early in the war. It just so happened in November of 42, Admiral Willis Lee was there with a couple of battleships. When the Japanese came down to bombard Guadalcanal, the battleships were there. Well, South Dakota got in a fight with Kirishima, and they were trading blows, and South Dakota took some bad hits. One of them was up in the superstructure that took out the CIC. So basically they were blind. They had a power failure, other troubles and so forth. So they were retiring from the battle. Well, the Japanese were concentrating on this battleship running away, and didn't see the Washington come in. Washington took over the fight, sunk the Japanese battleship Kirishima. We won that battle. I can say one of few won around the Solomon Islands in 42, but that's when the Navy realized, as important as CIC is, it needed to be protected. You could get it below the armor deck. So they had to retrofit the 4 South Dakotas and move all this equipment down below the armor deck. So Alabama's new radar was installed, and they retrofitted the room, and they brought all the gear down here. Miles of cable had to be brought down through armored trunks and run through all the ship to take radar signals and all this stuff to all the repeaters around the ship. But they had to refit this room. This had a head back here and some kind of storage area here, so they refit this room. You can see there was a bulkhead right here. There was a watertight door right here. They cut out, okay? The original ladder was a steeper ladder. It came down closer to the hatch. And this wall, this bulkhead stood here, so you'd come down the ladder and go through a watertight door to get here. So anyway, they had to refit this room, and they did. Moved all this gear down here, and then Alabama was ordered to the Philippine Sea in June of 44. The Americans, the Allies, had just invaded Saipan by the time. So they were fighting on Saipan, and we were expecting an attack from the Japanese. We knew it was coming. So Alabama was on station there in the Philippine Sea, and they were watching, looking for the Japanese attack. Well, the fellow sitting at this chair right here, at that new SK radar set, his name was Joe Cook. Joe Cook was watching that radar screen. He got a contact on his radar at 190 miles away. So Joe Cook told Wayne Bundy, Lieutenant Bundy was the officer in charge of CIC that day. He told Wayne Bundy, Lieutenant Bundy told the captain told the admiral, and Mitchell says, no, something's wrong. That radar doesn't reach 190 miles. There's something wrong with your equipment. So the admiral didn't believe our captain. So the captain tells Bundy, have your people verify and keep me informed. So he keeps watching, and he calls another fellow over here. His name was Frank Radulski. Frank and I became really good friends over the years. But Frank came over here and he says, look at this. So they double check everything and test it. They better listen to you, Joe, because something's coming. So sometime later, another ship got the same contact. Incoming 270 degrees, 9,000 feet, closing at 180 knots, whatever the information was. I think it was Iowa, told Mitchell. Well, Mitchell realizes then Alabama was right. So he contacts all the carriers in Task Force 58. They scramble all their Hellcats. They vector them out to a spot where the Japanese are coming in from the west. Here's the Americans up here. Here comes the Japanese, unsuspecting. They dive on the Japanese, shoot down 400 Japanese airplanes. 400 Japanese airplanes shot down for the cost of about 29 Americans.
What, the Marianas turkey shoot?
That's it. The Marianas turkey shoot, because one of the pilots said it was so easy, it was like an old-fashioned turkey shoot. Well, Alabama was the ship that got the first contact with the incoming Japanese airstrike. Now, history knows that. I mean, the definitive history of the Navy in World War II was written by Samuel Eliot Morison in like 15 volumes. As detailed information as you'll ever know is in that volume. But they don't know that guy's name. I do. Joe Cook was the man who got that contact. Frank Radulski was over there verifying what Joe Cook was seeing. And Wayne Bundy was reporting it to the captain. I met those three guys at reunions. I have their autographs in a big art print at my house. I got that art print out and was looking at it one day, and there was Frank Radulski. Oh, God love Frank. Wayne Bundy, I remember Wayne Bundy. I bought his book. Joe Cook, here he is. So I know something in history doesn't know. The names of those three men, in particular, Joe Cook who was on that radar set when they got that contact. That's just special to me. So this is the shell deck. It was loaded with all the projectiles, all the 16-inch projectiles. These are the high capacity rounds. These are the high explosive type. These are the armor piercing rounds. These weigh 2,700 pounds each. These are a little lighter because they're not quite as heavy. They're not made to penetrate heavy armor or thick concrete or whatever. These are 2,700 pounds. I think these are just 1,900 pounds, something like that. Less than 2,000 pounds for the high capacity, the high explosive type shells. But they would be stored in here, double stacked, latched all around the inside of this compartment in here. This part is connected to the ship. This is the ship. This part here, all of this and this is connected to the underside of the turret.
Yep.
So every place the turret turns, this rotates. So when the turret's turning this way, this is going like this. And everywhere the turret rotates, this is connected to the turret. Now, this ring here is separate from both. This ring is moved separately because wherever that turret has been turned, you have to have your hoist adjacent to the area where the shells are carried up to the turret.
Oh, yeah.
So that moves around everywhere to keep it ready to feed ammunition up through the barbette and through the bottom of the turret to be able to load.
There's a hoist?
Yeah, that's the hoist. It used to work. It's broke right now. But we used to be able to push the button and raise the shell up and down. Now, the first movement of that 2,700 pound shell was by hand. So, we're going to load one shell. We have a chain anchored over here near the hoist. You get you over here, you unlatch your shell, and you throw a chain around it. The chain works down to the bottom, and then you wrap the chain around this capstan that's rotating all the time the equipment is in operation. That capstan is rotating. So after you wrap that chain 2 or 3 turns, it'll grip the chain. Now the bottom of the chain is pulling. The shell is moving. So we got somebody up here holding the nose of the shell while it moves across this deck that's been squirted a little bit of oil. It'll slide over to here. And then they'll take a big pry bar of some kind and push it into the hoist. Once it gets into the hoist, it's all automated after that. But the first movement of that big old shell is by hand. So we're loading 3 shells from this area for each time we're firing 3 rounds from the main battery gun. So there's 3 of these hoists on that ring, like I say, which rotate around under the turret as the turret moves. That make sense? Now this was also not open during the war. We cut this hole to get you down there and to be able to see this, because you can't get there from here without climbing down those ladders I told you about. So nice and easy. 2 rounds a minute would be the maximum capability of firing the main battery guns. 2 rounds a minute. That's phenomenal.
Now, that's 6 shells right in the bag of powder.
9 shells. There's 3 turrets, so 9 rounds. 6 bags for each gun. So 6 times 9 is what? 54? All right, let's do some math real quick. You can fire 9 rounds in a broadside. Each of 3 turrets can shoot 3 each. All right, 9 rounds. The shells weigh 2,700 pounds. You round that off to say 3,000 pounds. All right, 9 3,000 pound rounds is 27,000 pounds. All right, 1 bag of powder is 90 pounds. 6 bags of powder is 540 pounds. So you got 9 of those. So round that off to 500 even. 9 times 500 is 45. So 4,500 pounds of powder. And what did I say, 28,000 pounds of shells. Every time the ship fires a broadside, the ship is getting 15 tons lighter. 15 tons.
And they can do that every 30
The weight of the
seconds.
shells and the powder that's burning, that's all weight gone from the ship. 15 tons per broadside. And we can fire 2 broadsides a minute.
30 a minute.
So 30 tons. So that means if you're firing over the starboard side and you're loading from over here and you're 30 tons a minute, pretty soon you're going to have a light ship over here. Well, you're going to get some of the... No, because somebody's watching that. And so they're counter flooding if necessary to keep the ship on a level keel.
Balance the over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you don't have any list from 30 tons a minute coming out of your magazines over here. But yeah.
Wow.
What an amazing visit to the USS Alabama. Chip, you're a legend. We'll be back, mate. Here's some pictures of the tail end of the visit here to the memorial, including the USS drum. Stay tuned for instalment number 2. This is just part 1. Thanks for watching.